and there it goes.
Good.
Leader. The person who leads or commands a group, organization, or country. Leader. Milton S. Hershey. Building a town, not just a company, he always followed the golden rule. Hershey's success was not simply a matter of luck. He quit school in the 4th grade, apprenticed until 19. Then he followed his entrepreneurial spirit. Having learned from his past failures, he became a shrewd and astute businessman. He believed that workers who were treated fairly, who lived in a comfortable, pleasant environment, would be better workers. He built a model community that included housing for executives and ordinary workers alike. And as you can see, he built Hershey, and I grew up in the town of Hershey, and I still get emotional, even though I'm 57, at what one person did for their community. He put his money, all of his money, into Hershey. And I remember going to the park as a child, and you could ride on the Ferris wheel and the little train that came around, and go on airplane rides. And it wasn't until 1971 that they put gates on the community park, and they started charging $3.50 to get in. But as you can see, Hershey I just can't speak highly enough about Hershey and the community. So he totally funded it himself until 1920, and there were less than 2,500 residents in 1930. So you can see by that community theater that had 1904 seats, he planned. I can't say enough about Hershey. Hershey was built during the Depression. Hotel Hershey, Hershey Industrial School, and the Hershey Sports Arena. He created a special chocolate bar for the Army, for which he was awarded Army-Navy E-flag. Hershey survived 2 world wars and a serious sugar market collapse. He built High Point Mansion for $100,000. It had 22 rooms with 3 to 4 servants, and their gardens were open to the public. He saw that his employees had a healthy, beautiful environment and recreation at a time that Biltmore spent $10 million for his 250-room mansion with 90-plus servants. Hershey married at 41 years old to a younger woman of 26. After her experience volunteering at Lancaster Charity Society, Catherine urged Milton to build a school for orphan boys. In 1909, he made her co-founder of the Deed of Trust, unheard of in those days. On September the 5th, 1927, Hershey Industrial School, a state-of-the-art school and elementary school built for $500,000. It had the first indoor swimming pool in the nation. His motto, business is a matter of human service. Why am I telling you this? Because Milton S. Hershey is my mentor, example, role model, and the epitome of leader. And I will say that again. What leadership is in Brevard? Community assessment of leadership conditions. And if you'd like to take out your books and follow along on this, you can write down as to, number 1, ensures all classes, races engaged in planning, program design, implementation, and evaluation of major initiatives. Brevard City Council has 4 white males, 1 black male, and 1 white female. Transylvania County Commissioners has 4 white males and 1 white female. Unless the minority races, poor or homeless, speak up at City Council or Transylvania County meetings, there is no representation. Let me say that again. Number 2. The leadership in each sector is increasingly intentional about helping people in poverty make the transition to a stable economic situation. The commissioners have implemented ACT, work-ready community at Blue Ridge College to test for job-ready skills free of charge. Commissioners are implementing an economic development organization, and more about this later. Number 3, the leadership increasingly creates a culture of mutual respect for people of all classes and races. My personal experiences with the mayor and the county manager, I am still waiting on a phone call. Unless the minority races, poor or homeless, speak up at city council or Transylvania County meetings, our voices are not heard. Number 4, the leadership is increasingly collaborative and less prone to operating in silos. Unless the minority races, poor or homeless, speak up at the city council or Transylvania County meetings, there is no representation at public meetings. The leadership is increasingly able to work across political lines to serve the whole community. Their government profiles on their websites do not boast of any particular political affiliation. Number 6, the leadership increasingly supports locally owned and small businesses with incentives and tax breaks. There are incentives for industrial and manufacturing from the city and those investing more than $250,000 from the county. The leadership is increasingly representative of the population in terms of race, ethnicity, and class. 8 white males dominate. 2 white females are represented, but not to the 51.6% of the population. 1 black male would be representative of the 4.1% of the population. Unless the other minority races, poor, and that is 14.3% below poverty level in this county. Now that's not even at poverty level. What is that there? This is below. Or the homeless speak up at the city council or Transylvania County meetings, there is no representation. Number 8, citizen participation in community projects is increasing. Thanks to Sharing House for being a conduit and enabling participation. The community has a Bridges Steering Committee or a similar group by another name that coordinates the work on poverty based on the 10 core bridges constructs. And again, thanks to Sharing House for being a conduit and enabling participation of persons who have no transportation. Number 10, the leadership is increasing the application of Bridges concepts in its area of influence. Leadership should be encouraged to attend this 16-week course to get a better understanding of all of the people they serve. Here.
That's a really good point.
Where do we go from here? Using Hershey as a guide, how we can utilize his experience and implement his model for Transylvania County. Putting people first and utilizing local resources. In February 2013, J. Goldsmith and Company from Greenville, South Carolina prepared an economic development readiness assessment for Transylvania County. They interviewed over 70 individuals in education, law enforcement, business owners, and elected officials. The poor and homeless were not considered in the study, therefore their assets are yet undiscovered. They recognized the difficult maze for small business programs and agencies, that government regulations were more restrictive than necessary. Must be more economic opportunities for young people. The increased social and financial pressure as a result of aging demographics. Without economic growth, the community will be unable to handle the additional strain on resources. The Senior Resource Network lacks widespread appeal. A new approach to long-term prosperity must be established. Where necessary, make significant changes in policies, priorities, and programs in order to succeed in today's landscape. Recommendations. Create a new public-private economic development organization, EDO. Serve as a catalyst for organizing new product development or community development activities. Brand identity. Support network for employers, small businesses, and entrepreneurs. Target industries. Nutraceuticals, outdoor recreation equipment, food and beverage, automotive parts, sports health wellness, solar worker, which I would be a solar worker. I like to work for myself, I just have a hard time working for others. Tourism. So, out of these, we look at food and beverage. I say that this study is 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago. I think that food and beverage, that we've pretty well saturated the market with those in this town. Automotive parts. Yeah, but then you're getting into environmental concerns, and we already have a lot of toxic places that need cleanup. Excuse me. So, looking at these, nutraceuticals, outdoor recreation equipment, sports, health, wellness, solar worker, tourism. Using Hershey as an example, my recommendations would be, ching ching. Now that hemp is legal to grow in North Carolina, plant it in all areas of toxic soil conditions. Hemp detoxifies the soil, which can then be utilized for other economic growth. Until soil conditions are revitalized, the hemp grown can be used for hempcrete. Asheville has the first 2 hemp houses built in the United States. They had to import the materials from Canada.
Will you explain the hemp is not legal just to grow to be growing?
I will.
It is for medical
Well,
use
hemp-
only, is it
hemp-
correct?
Right, hemp is not THC active. It has no psychoanalytic or it has no high properties. It is to make rope. It is to make concrete. It is to make fiber. It is to make plastic. It is also a food source. Hemp itself is not to get high. Medical cannabis has medical properties, and medical cannabis will soon be legal in the United States, and Gaia herbs can be utilized to influence holistic health.
I think it already is legal.
For some.
The oil.
If oil is, but then that has a higher CBD content than a THC content.
Uses for things like cancer and...
Correct.
What is hemp?
What is hemp? Hemp is let me see, a derivative. You have cannabis. You have some that has the psycho properties.
What's the street name?
Hemp.
Mm-hmm.
Hemp.
Okay.
Cannabis.
Because I don't know what it is. Is it weed or something?
It's cannabis is the legal term. Marijuana is a street slang
Okay.
that was created, and hemp, if they go in, people go in and pick the hemp, it's not going to get them high.
Right.
Unless they're
But
mixing it with
hemp-
something.
Yeah.
And they are doing that.
With
I
spice.
just seen it on TV the other night. And you know, that's a thin line because they're mixing it with heroin. I watched this on TV the other night, the drug channel.
Yeah. Well, let me go on, and then I'll finish up at the end because there's more goodies in here
Okay.
that I think that you'll like even better. Because yes, there is It's kind of like the witch hunt. You know, you have to know what a witch is before you can go on a hunt. And that's kind of like the cannabis, you know, with the hemp. It's like, what are we looking at? Are we looking at something that has revolutionized economies throughout the beginning of time? Or are we looking at the past 100 years where certain people have criminalized a natural plant in order to make a profit for themselves and their companies? So it's like when we are looking at facts, we have to look at the facts and the whole picture and not just, you know, our fingers pointed out. But I do see Gaia Herbs as being able to, Gaia Herbs has set a precedent for herbal remedies that have not been utilized since the beginning of the turn of this century. And speaking of holistic health, there is no better place to recover from all that ails you than in the mountains. And natural retreat centers with alternative treatments and therapies. I feel that the medical industry focuses on the great pill that will treat you, and not for the dis-ease within. Since the closing of the alcohol treatment center at the hospital, there has been a need to increase the police force, jail, and now the county courthouse. Build an alcohol and drug treatment center beside the new courthouse, beside the jail. Treat the disease, don't criminalize and profit from it. Turn the old courthouse into a community center where kids and families can go on cold, rainy days. Keep it open till 9 and 11 on weekends. That was something that Hershey had, and I learned how to shoot pool. I was a lifeguard at the indoor swimming pool. I can't talk enough about what Hershey did to inspire me, and also to give me that fairy tale, because that cruel world is not Hershey. We have tourists who come to town. Where do they take their kids at night when the town closes before sundown? Start seeing the poor and homeless as valuable assets yet undiscovered. Ideas to help the poor help themselves. Open up a barter shop where people bring in their unwanted. Get a receipt to shop for the same value. Donations in cash are accepted to pay overhead. Volunteer hours can be used for payments of goods also. Start a small business loan or grant for minorities or poor, not served by any other organization or banks. They offer the same in foreign countries to great returns. Open a crafter's shop where people don't have to pay a fee until their goods sell, or a free space at the farmer's market to share until they can afford their own. When we start to see people as equals, we become greater ourselves. The next time you eat a Hershey's chocolate bar, may it inspire the leader in you. And GLoLady, enlightening the masses.
Look here, girlfriend, I don't need to talk now. You
That
just-
was